All right, you guys, let's get started. I love that you guys are here, and I love that you are taking the time out of your night to listen to something that really has become a huge part of my life over the last 10 years. And if someone invited you here, it's because I think that, uh-oh, got some noise. I don't know who's unmuted.
It has avocado in it. It has a little bit of avocado. It doesn't taste very
good. I can't mute Melissa. I don't know if it's Melissa or I don't know. It's Heather.
Huh?
Heather's eating some avocado.
No, my husband, as a salad I made, he said, I didn't taste any avocado. I'm like, there is avocado. It's in the cottage cheese.
More avocado, Heather, more avocado. Okay.
Well, obviously.
Okay. All right, let's go. Let's go. So if you're here, if someone invited you, I want you to understand that, like, we take that really serious. When we sit down and we talk about what it means to be teammates, we pick keywords for ourselves that we love to see, like we want to work with, right? And we say, okay, now think of the people that remind you of those words. You know, we could even start writing some of them down, but, you know, a fighter is one of them. Enthusiastic, committed, consistent, just some really important words to us. And then there's like, go talk to them. Those are the type of people we want to link arms with on a mission that really has become more like a ministry to many of us. Now, here's the thing. What you're going to listen to tonight is a bunch of people that did not major in any of this, especially speaking. Okay, so none of us, I don't think here that are speaking tonight really are people just like you that fell in love with the team, the culture, you know, the products have changed their life and the environment. And I said, hey, will you help me share some of that? And reluctantly, they're like, okay. So I'm going to ask them questions and kind of take some of the pressure off them. But you're going to get to hear some really cool stories. And I would say that you're going to hear from people that have younger kids, people that have older kids, people that work full time, people that were stay-at-home moms, people that have master's degree, people that graduated high school. There's going to be so many different people that live more of a simple life and people that travel all the time. You're going to, like, the only thing we have in common, well, there's a couple things, but our love for our team and what we do and what we get to be a part of, but also the fact that none of us woke up like we're in high school and we're like, you know what I want to do? I want to be in multi-level marketing. That's what I think I'm going to do. Like, do you know what I mean? None of us, it kind of found us really and captured our heart. So we're going to start off with one of our coaches really that stole my heart about 2 months ago. Her name is Claire. And Claire, if you could just we're going to need Claire to show her face first and then unmute herself. But she really stole my heart right away when I met her, because she was so excited in her story. Something that I'm literally addicted to is like the comeback kid, right? Because that's how I felt like I was 10 years ago. I had all these dreams. And somehow I found myself as a military wife, which is an honor to do, but $100,000 in debt, away from family and a husband that had just left and was 7,000 miles away. We lived in a fixer-upper. I had no family around me, and I was the one trying to pay the bills. And it was really, really, really stressful. And it was one of those things where I remember walking down the stairs after Chad, my husband, had been gone for about 2 months. And, you know, once I was a girl that was really excited about life, you know, like that. I was just kind of known for my positivity, and I lost her somewhere in those 2 months. I lost her, and I was walking down the stairs one day. The 10-month-old kept me up a lot, totally normal, but I lived on coffee and my sad sob story I told myself every day. And I saw a sign that said, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And what popped out at me was you know, for so long, since we started in the military as a pilot. So it took us 2.5 years to get to this deployment. And we struggled and we were even on WIC and things like that. And I was looking for a way out, but I was waiting for someone else to get me out, if that makes sense. I was blaming things on Chad. And it was in that moment that I kind of became the comeback kid of my own story. Does that make sense? Just in terms of doing something different, staying in my suck. And so I saw that in Clara. I mean, all the people you're going to hear from, you know what I mean? But I right away hearing her story, like she had like a comeback story that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to know you. And so, Clara, can you unmute yourself? You're popping around in all different places.
Sure.
Right.
Am I unmuted now?
There you are. Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
You're cool. Okay, so the thing that I loved about Claire, and this is kind of, I'm just going to start asking him questions. You guys really, we're a bunch of friends, you know what I mean, that have the same mission in mind, and are real excited to share with you. So I'm just going to ask them questions and let them share their story, and hopefully have you guys off here at a really decent time. You know, but the question that I hear the most, and something I want to ask you, Claire, and I think you could answer this best, is should people wait until they have some ginormous transformation? You know, I love your story and you blew me away, you know, but will you tell us a bit about your story and what your thoughts are on that question?
So to answer your question, just to start with, that was my exact question, was I don't have any results yet. I'm not a product of the product. How can I be an effective coach? My story kind of goes back to 3 years ago. I walked away from a toxic marriage, and then I spent the last, almost 3 years kind of rebuilding my life and realizing that I needed to make some changes in my health and wellness. And that's when I started coaching softball. My daughter played in the same league as Nan, who is my coach, and that's who I met. And she was just such a positive force. She was a light. She was a coach on a different team. I didn't even know her, but she just always made me smile when she was around. And when I realized that it was time, it was a season of change for me, and I was ready to just take that next step, I had been following her on social media, and I knew that she was a person that could help me. So I just reached out to her, and I was like, listen, here's my story. Here's what's going on. Here's what I need. Tell me what I need to do. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Which really is so cool. You know, when I first started, and I opened with, none of us really knew what we were doing when we started. And it was really very much like Claire, like, okay, if you isn't that how anything is that you want change? Like you find someone that's a few steps ahead of you, maybe a whole mile ahead of you. It doesn't matter, you know, how far ahead, but someone that can say like, hey, like, I get it. Here's some things that I did. And then we can, you know, success leaves clues, you know, and that was really the cool thing about being surrounded by people that weren't perfect, because I promise you that's not what you're going to find here. You're going to find a bunch of broken people that have different struggles in different areas of their life. You know what I mean? But what we have in common is the desire to move forward in a positive way in our marriage and our finances, you know, in our goals and just our joy and our happiness. Right. And so I love what you said about Nan, because you can't underestimate your power to be a bright light in someone else's life. I swear that's what's missing sometimes from our country. I scroll Facebook and I see a bunch of hate and a bunch of opinions. And if we would just, you know, slow our roll and be a light in someone's life, it could change so much, you know, just this, like Claire's life. Imagine, I mean, and I'm going to let you tell your story a little bit more. I want you to tell them what happened, but I mean, that's like a legacy, you guys, like you have the ability to change a whole, like, generations because of, I'm going to let her tell your story. What happened once you signed up, like, and just tell us.
Even though it was my objection to coaching was that I don't have a big transformation. I can't post pictures of before and after, because what I realized when I started coaching is that my before and after was internal. It was how I felt, my outlook on life. All of a sudden I was positive, I was hopeful, I was looking for the future instead of being pulled down by the struggles of day to day. And I found myself just smiling all the time, and people started asking me, like, you seem so happy, like what's going on? Like, they noticed that about me before any physical changes started to be noticed by anyone.
Yeah, which is so cool because and I've been a personal trainer for 14 years, and don't let that fool you. I went into personal training to fix myself because I was the big boned, the yo-yo dieter, anybody ever try hydroxycut here? I was gonna say, please don't tell me I'm the only one that had done those different diet pills and stuff like that. But I thought I must be missing something, you know what I mean? And so, what I realized is really the fitness industry, and I was a part of it for sure, had created this idea that if you can put a before and after physically here, then that's really what matters, when really there's this internal change that is priceless, that has to happen first before a real outward, like, transformation that can stick. You know what I mean? And that was the first thing that Chad noticed in me, because physical change takes a while. You know what I mean? But to be surrounded by different people, I mean, Chad noticed an immediate change in me from 7,000 miles away on Zoom. I mean, I was no longer, complaining all the time and making him feel guilty for having to deploy and serve our country. I mean, I feel so bad about the way I acted. But okay, so your internal change happened first and people started noticing you. And so, like, one of my biggest fears, I'll be honest, because I said no to the opportunity for quite some time, even as a personal trainer. Because as a personal trainer, I mean, if you really think about the fitness programs, the nutrition side of things, like, it's legit. Like, we're not talking about taking some magic pill, like, hydroxycut or something. We're talking about the kind of workouts that, I mean, literally we have 6 weeks of the work, a program right now that is literally designed, and he coaches athletes. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's the right fit for everyone. It's not one that I'm doing necessarily, but I'm saying, like, it's like the kind that if you went to a gym and would have paid me $1,000 10 years ago to train you, it's better than what you would have got from me. I'll just be completely honest. But what my biggest fear was, and I want to know how you feel about this, Claire, is, like, I didn't want to sell people. Has anybody ever thought about that? Like, I didn't want to be icky. There was someone that when I would go to the grocery store, the commissary with my kids, they'd be, crying. She was like, 6 months old at the time or even younger when it was first introduced to me. And they would just be, I mean, I would duck, trying to avoid, because she was trying to sell me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not want to be that mom that here she comes with her jogging stroller. And can you guys picture it? Like, all the moms run, like, they're like, here she comes, she's going to totally sell us P90X. So was that ever a concern of yours? And if so, like, what have you experienced, or how'd you avoid that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So that was a concern of mine as well, because several people that I went to high school I've seen them be in multi-level marketing before, and they absolutely were functioning as direct sales. I didn't feel like, and they were the kind of people that pop up on your newsfeed and are, like, irritating and annoying, and you're like, will you just stop? Like, I don't want anything that you're selling, that you're doing. Like, why are you on here 6 times a day? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But when I started learning more about coaching, when I got involved with our team, I realized that I am not a salesperson. I'm a connector. Mm-hmm. I'm connecting people with something that they need, and finding the best fit product that we have that can help them. So it's my job to just help them find something that they already need. I don't need to sell them on that, because they should be looking for the type of thing that we're offering. Yeah. And most of the time, they already have made the decision before they even come to us that I need a change. So our job is just to kind of facilitate that change, and help them find and match them, I guess, right, with what will help them the best.
Right. And the thing is what changed for me. So I've lost, and it's not some huge transformation, 15 pounds. I didn't have a lot to lose, but I was stuck in this yo-yo diet. Like, I mean, I can show you pictures of, like, being really, really almost too thin for a dance or a military ball, to, like, letting loose. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a super unhealthy relationship for me. until I got surrounded by people. And what I realized I was missing, because I was doing it to myself, but what most people were missing, even my clients back when I was, actively, training people one-on-one, was the support piece. You know what I mean? That's what I was missing. And once I put myself in an environment, instead of, I don't know if y'all have ever done this before, but like I was ashamed. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I should have, especially as a trainer, I should have this figured out. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's hard to talk about. It's you need a safe environment to be vulnerable. But once I did that, you know what I mean? Once, someone connected me to like what would fit me best, then they just surrounded me, and that was super, super powerful. And that really, like it's a mindset shift. It's really like a heart condition, really. Like, do you know what I mean? As to what you're like from a service mindset, you know what I mean? Being the main focus of how to help people where they're at, not necessarily push, on this team, we are not gonna want you to push your agenda on people. Like, do you know what I mean? That's the fastest way to breaking trust. And once you've broke trust, you can't help them. You can't give them hope. They won't listen to you. And that is like, we literally are lending our belief to people as we connect with them, because most people aren't believing in themselves. So last thing, Claire, like kind of share with them like where you were, like what you told us, and where you're at now, and the different areas that are important to you.
So before I started doing anything, I was frustrated. I was unhappy. I was kind of lost and drifting around and just kind of just stuck in this. I know I need to do something, but everything seems ridiculous. Everything seems hard. I can't commit to that. I don't want to spend the money on this. So when I made a decision and I started the nutrition program and the exercises, the community piece was so huge. I didn't even realize that that's what I was missing, that's what I was needing. Just the accountability of knowing that, like, if I eat this, I have to write it down. If I don't do my workout, I can't check in later today and commune with these other women. And that was really important to me. And this, you were talking about the support of this group, and that's been in fitness and in life as well. I had a difficult life situation this week, and I reached out to Nan just to say, hey, this is why I'm kind of in and out of groups this week. I'm not as present as normal. And she just encouraged me. She just said, don't isolate yourself, because that was my go-to before, was I handle it all myself. I don't want anybody else involved, whether it be ashamed or just pride, false humility.
Yeah.
So I reached out to my coaching team, and I feel like I was so much more well equipped to handle just a life situation that had nothing to do with coaching and fitness, because of this group.
Yeah. I mean, you really can't put a price tag on that piece of it, right? How's your fitness journey doing right now?
I just finished my third round of 21-day fix, and I have lost 18.6 pounds and 19.5 inches.
That's incredible.
So I'm super pumped about that.
Do you think, and this isn't even, I'm just throwing questions at Claire now that weren't even on my list, I'm sorry. We might not get on.
No, it's okay.
But do you think the coaching increased your accountability then?
I do. Because I looked at it as now I have to be a leader, and leading by example is how I lead.
Yeah.
I don't like to tell other people what to do. I prefer to show them.
Right. Which is really cool, because I recently really started studying like performance, almost like sports psychology and stuff like that. Been helping the high school brainstorm, like a mindset coaching type of position or whatever. And it's so interesting to know that a couple things, and Claire talked about it, when you have to check in somewhere, that is something like that increases your likelihood, because now it's outside of yourself. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that there was an example that, I was reading a study about how if you take someone that's running a marathon, two people, and one says, I'm running this for myself, right? And just to get on the stage, and you take someone else that says, I'm running this to raise money for cancer. This person over here is more likely to train and finish strong than the person that was doing it for themselves, which is so interesting to me. You know what I mean? When you take it and it becomes external, when you know people are counting on you. And that's, I coach basketball too in the middle school. That's something that the first thing we're going to tackle is understanding that, you know, when you make yourself accountable to your teammates. I'm way off. I'm more into a training at this point. I'm so sorry, you guys. If you join, we'll talk about all kinds of stuff like that. But Claire, I'm sorry, I've kept you in the hot seat for too long. I appreciate you. You're incredible. And this team is such a blessing because of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another one that I hear that's very similar. I'm gonna bring my girl Cherie in here. That again, like only met like how long ago? Would you say that? Well, we're coming up probably on a year.
On a year.
A
year.
Yay. Okay. Yeah. But something that I wanted to talk about, because I think this is something. Well, this is like it goes through a lot of people's mind. It went through my mind. Was why would anyone listen to me? Even though I'm a trainer, I can't get results for myself. So I felt like a fraud, if I'm going to be completely honest. It was something I had to overcome 10 years ago. And I think Cherie will explain to you a little bit more, but like, what are your thoughts on that? You know, tell us a little bit about what you've been through in the last couple years. Even I think it's definitely we got a whole bunch of comeback kid stories and people that you haven't heard from yet too, but will you tell us a little bit about that, you know, where you've been?
Yeah, totally. I, you know, for as long as I can remember, I've been this super active, like, you know, I did dance, cheerleading, I was a runner, I taught group fitness, did weight training, all that stuff. And then about 3 years ago, actually using our programs, because you can find some pretty good intense workouts. At that point, I, with 3 kids, needed to be home. So I was using our programs and being a little too excited about them. I re-injured my right hip, completely tore the labrum off the joint socket. And
you had that problem before? You said re-injured. So this was a previous injury?
Yeah, I injured it during childbirth, had it fixed, and was good to go. Yeah, so it was a little touchy to begin with. So yeah, 3 years ago, I just ripped that whole thing off the joint socket and didn't listen to myself. And so kept kind of tearing at it and, you know, and then at that point overcompensated on the left hip. And so now that hip is torn too. So, you know, initially when that happened, I was so devastated and depressed because this active lifestyle had become my identity. And it really, it just sent me into a spiral. And I just gave up on being physical, on doing anything, and which then led to bad eating because I was depressed. And it wasn't until I found this team a year ago, like Summer was saying, that I really dove in with the people around me and looked at their struggles and their stories, and I was able to relate to Summer and some other awesome women on our team. And at that point, I finally kind of cut all the BS I was telling myself. And I said, okay, now what can I do? Instead of focusing on, I can't do these high intensity workouts because that's what I identified with, what can I do? And so I started doing things like yoga. We've got like a huge yoga studio that I could do from home and pick and choose the ones that work for me. And I did more walking and cycling and just be more active. And once I did that, I mean, my whole mental mind shift changed. And I became excited again about moving forward. And just, I don't want to take too long, but a year ago, I had a surgery to attempt to fix it, and it was a failure. And well, a little more than a year ago. And that's when I really dove into a depression and met Summer. But a couple months ago, they redid the surgery and rebuilt it. And just the mindset change for me. I mean, I've just been so excited about going to physical therapy, about getting better and doing the at-home stuff I can do at home with yoga. And I honestly think that the mental shift that I was able to make because of surrounding myself with this team, I mean, my healing has been incredible. And my PTs would tell you the same.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So what do you think that does for some, I mean, we can all pretty much say that we've struggled before, right? Like this is a safe place, you know what I mean? But what do you think that does? Okay, for those people that we a lot of times think aren't listening to it, what do you think it does for them when they watch you struggle but move forward in a positive way?
Yeah, I think that when myself or, we as coaches are brave and we're willing to put our walls down and be vulnerable and share what we're going through, it really helps them to relate to us and say, well, I'm in this place of suck, but she was in this place of suck and she's getting through it. I have this video of right after I had surgery where I was on my little spin bike, barely moving, and then I took my crutch and I hobbled over and I would start doing my weightlifting because my upper body was good. So I started doing that, and there was so many people that talked to me about that, and they were like, dang girl, if you're doing that, why can't I? So I think it really helped them to see themselves in my struggle and to give them hope that you don't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to look a certain way to get healthy.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I think sometimes I think the fitness industry has painted a certain picture of what health is. It's not necessarily that, you know what I mean? I think that's what's unique about what we do and what was missing when I was a personal trainer is understanding that if I was willing to be vulnerable, I probably could have given a lot more people hope. You know what I mean? So then what exactly then do we do as coaches? I think that's what confuses people because we're not experts. We're not, you know what I mean? That's not what's missing. We live in the information age, you guys. Knowledge is not what's missing from why people are struggling. So what do we do as coaches then?
Yeah, I mean, the really cool thing is, some of us have a background, some of us don't, but we don't have to be personal trainers. We don't have to be nutritionists. We don't have to be experts at anything. We just have to have that heart to support people and give them encouragement because that's really what's missing. We're connected and work alongside Beachbody, who has, they basically sell themselves. Their programs and their products are top notch. Thousands of people have used them, and you can find success story after success story either on the Beachbody blog or on social media with customers and coaches that are so excited and share it. That's all there. That's all sold. But something like I said that I was missing before and Claire talked about and you talked about is a huge missing link is the belief that we can get through this. And when we're able to share our stories, that helps people to see and to have that hope at the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And another really, with that encouragement piece too, when I told my coach, what my goals were, Summer checked in with me and, am I on the right track? Where am I struggling? And same thing with the people I help. We check in, and if things aren't working, we redirect. And that wasn't, I used to love going to the gym, and I still love taking classes when I can, but that was definitely a missing link that I think kind of puts our whole recipe together to make this just a really successful, thing for people that are willing to jump in and do it with us.
Yeah. And that's what I think is so cool about, I think that all of our stories can be used for good, and we have different stories. My story is not Nan's story. It's not Cherie's story. It's not Aaron Booker's story. It's not Christy's story. It's not Kara's story. I think that there are people that are aligned with our story that when they hear it, it creates a connection that then gives them hope and the courage, right? To just take a step and to take a step in a safe environment. And so, Cherie, thank you for sharing your story. And I know that's not always easy to talk about that struggle per se, but I think it's been used for good. So I appreciate you, girl. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, here's another one, and I can totally relate to this, but I think Nan takes the cake in this one, if I'm going to be honest. Am I even coach material? I'm kind of an introvert, except for Nan, I would put I'm such an introvert, like, some people are just, that's how they were created, super outgoing. Like, have you ever met someone that walks into a room and they just hey, like this one guy from the Naval Academy walked up just soccer practice the other day and he was like, "What's up, friends? How you doing?" I've never seen him before. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't walk up to the sideline of a soccer game in that fashion. Although when he did that, I was like, "Oh, that was fun. I should try that." And then I was like, "Oh, that's right, Summer. You're like Nan a little bit." But Nan, I know you're a runner. Okay, so let's just start here. Like, you're a runner. Like, and that's your thing. And I know you resisted this a lot at the beginning. Even your husband had to do it first. We won't go there, but how did all of this really come about for you as an introvert and a runner? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you find peace when you run. Like, did you really need what we had? Like, you know what I mean? How many times did you pretty much tell Christy to shove it until you decided to do something? And why did you decide to do something?
So it really came down, I mean, it probably was it was definitely, I was pregnant at the time with our second when my husband did start doing P90X3. And so it kind of did put me off limits, even though I was still the stubborn girl that I was running until pretty much I was like, this just sucks. Like, I'm so done running. Like, why am, but that was probably 36 weeks along in my pregnancy. But it was after I had my second daughter, and I was just, at home with her. And I just remember that feeling that I knew that in 6 weeks I was going to get cleared to work out. And I was like, yes, I'm going to go run. I totally got this in the bag. I'm going to be that mom that is going to totally rock that, mom bod with abs and all that. I'm going to show these. And I mean, like that. Like, I'm an introvert, but in my mind, I have this really competitiveness with myself. And I would be like, I'm going to totally be that mom that has this 3-month-old on her hip, a 3-year-old. And I am going to be that mom that has it all together. Right. Well, that did not happen. And so what I found was that 6 weeks, I got cleared. I couldn't go run. You can't take a running stroller, as many of you guys probably know, with an infant, because their heads just bobble around and it's not safe for them. So that totally nixed that whole plan. And I was like, what am I going to do? Wait for my husband to get home from work, because I was still on maternity leave. Or Christy, my coach, had given me this program, T25, and she's like, here, just try it. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing. I'm not coordinated. These are never going to work. I can't dance. I have no rhythm, any of that stuff. But my husband told me to try it, and I tried it, and I kept trying it. And I remember crying because it hurt so bad. Like, my abdomen muscles, you guys have probably all been there. Your abs and your core just hurts so bad from, using muscles that you haven't used in a long time. And for me, many muscles that I'd never used ever, because I would love to run. I mean, I did go to the gym and thought that I was working out. But I quickly realized that, I could go out and run 3 miles, or I could do this 25-minute workout, and I was hitting muscle groups that I had never hit before. And I was seeing results really fast. And I loved the fact that I could do it during nap time. So I felt really productive for me. And that was a big deal. It was a big deal for me to have a calendar to follow. So I just knew I could push play on the next day. I really was a perfectionist. So even though if I struggled getting through the workout and feeling like I couldn't finish, or feeling like, oh, I should probably go back to that day because I didn't do it 100% perfect, I was told to just continue to keep moving on. And that's what I did. And so I think that was one of the best things that helped me get where I am today, because I feel like there's always a reason that we go through these points in our journeys. And I can tell you that for me to have a program to follow, and that, it helped me get over that perfectionism, because I still to this day have to modify things that I do. I'm not going to be able to always do things 100% correctly, but it gives me I can give myself that grace that I need.
Look
And
at you. Is that what it says?
my challengers that I can tell my team that, like, give yourself grace. Like, you're doing an awesome job. And just like, love yourself for what you're doing. Like, even if it's 10 minutes into a workout and that's all you can do, that's okay. And so I had to be okay with that and get accepting of that. And if that was to nurse a baby or something like that, or get some water. And so, yeah. And guess what? I did feel like $1 million that summer in my bikini, and I did hit that goal. And that was it for me. That was all that I needed. I followed that calendar and I was hooked. So.
Yeah, but you breezed over something. I just want to go right back for just a second. You said that you have no rhythm. I can vouch for that, for sure. We have retreats as a team, and we had someone teaching us how to twerk, and I can promise, she's right. Like, I could see why T25 would be hard for her, because a girl cannot twerk. So if you ever want to see, I mean, I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm delusional. You guys are probably like texting each other behind the scenes and like, you can't twerk either. You got no rhythm either, Summer. But I felt like you breezed over that just a little too fast, that you had no rhythm. So yeah, so for her to do T25, I imagine that was quite a sight. And you had to give yourself quite a bit of grace. I'm just kidding with you. You know I love you. Okay, so when you started the business, though, like, what did your life look like? Why did you do it? And like, what all did you have going on in your life?
So when I started, like, we had a 3-year-old, like I said, and then a 6-week-old was when I really started my journey. But then I really didn't start coaching until she was about 3 months old, because what happened was I started drinking Shakeology. I wanted all the benefits of it. But then, like, my husband and I, we kind of were like, we were at that point in our lives. I was working full time. He was working full time and was working a second job. And we were like, how are we going to pay for this baby to go to daycare while I go to work? And so we were really in this dilemma, this whole predicament. And so we were like, okay, we have to cut out Shakeology. Something has to go. Like, so that was the first thing. We cut that out. And then we quickly realized that that wasn't going to work, because we leaned on it so much just in our busy lives, but we just felt so different. So really it was just that. And then on top of that all was this mom guilt that I felt for having to put my kids in daycare while I was at work, and missing all those first of their, and all these memories and all these moments that I was going to be missing out on. And that really just took a toll on me. I hated scrolling through Facebook and seeing all my mom friends at the zoo. And, you know, I wanted nothing more than to, and then I made it a goal. Essentially, I was going to be at the bus stop. Like, that was my thing. I was like, I'm going to be at the bus stop. I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to pour into this. What can I do to get there? I need to be home with my kids. And so that for me was where this whole coaching thing finally started to kind of like become more than I was just receiving it from Shakeology for a discount. And because I love the programs, because they fit into my busy life, and I didn't have to, you know, do the commute to and from the gym or any of that kind of stuff. So that was where I started to find what I was fighting for.
Right. So first, I know that your husband was able to come home from working his second job, which helped you a lot. And then you work 2 days a week or 3 days a week now. You've cut back. I know that.
Yeah, I work part-time. So I went from full-time to part-time. Yep.
And how do you think, okay, back to your personality, and then we'll move on. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm drilling you. With your personality, why do you, like, how are you able to do that? If someone's sitting here saying, but I'm an introvert, you don't look like an introvert to me right now. Like, you know what I mean? But like, you definitely are. I can vouch for that. You know, why do you think this business, you were able to do the business as an introvert?
So for me, one of the big things, and I definitely am still an introvert. I will tell you that. I'm the person that goes in the room, and I was, you know, thinking of things too, and I'm like, I definitely married an extrovert, because my husband he can carry on conversation with anybody, and I'm like, I'll just sit over here in the corner and just scope out, and like, I don't know, I love to people watch. Like, I can totally sit and people watch. And so that was what I always liked to do. But anyway, so But I loved it because I was the girl, you know, didn't have like hundreds of friends on Facebook. I didn't have most of my high school friends, you know, and even in high school, I just had a very small little group of friends. And I didn't like to post a lot of things on Facebook. I didn't like people to know my business. I felt like, you know, it's my business. I wanted to kind of keep to myself. But what I loved was that I could get on and kind of like work. I started working at my kitchen table, or I could sit next to my husband while he was watching like Monday Night Football. And I could do that kind of just behind the scenes, and nobody really knew what I was doing. And what like I loved was like I always just envisioned this. I was like, I'm going to be that person that no one's going to know what the heck I'm doing. And I'm going to like, I don't know, like I just envisioned like just being this amazing, like, I don't know, paparazzi would this is just something that I heard on a personal development thing recently, but like that the paparazzi would come around you and I'd be like, yep, I've been working in the dark all these years. And like, boom, there I am. Like, you know, that's like something that like, I don't know, like I'm such a homebody. I would rather not put like, I would just rather be home with my family. I can find so much things to do around my house. It's pretty fun. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And you know what I really loved was because I'm not always, I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years. So, you know, you get better and better at working with people and stuff like that. I wouldn't say that was a huge strong suit of mine. But behind a computer for me, I could slow down, like, you know what I mean? And really like think, because my thoughts didn't come right to me. You know, have you ever met someone that you just can't argue with them because they're so quick and you're like still like an hour later, all of a sudden you think of your comeback and you're like, dang it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that was kind of like me, like, do you know what I mean? Where I felt like if I had to be in person, like it just got all jumbled up here. And I'm the person that was most comfortable just sitting at the back of the room and watching. I know it doesn't look like that at retreats when I'm twerking and all that kind of stuff, but leadership is also fun. But, you know, that was something I love that I could think, you know what I mean, about how I wanted this person to feel, like, do you know what I mean? And make sure I chose my words in a way that honored them. Yeah, that was always a worry of mine. So, okay, last question. How did you learn to do this? Because I know that's what people think. Like, I don't know, I didn't major in this. Like, how are the people that are on here, if they should choose to like, it's a good fit, you know, how are they gonna figure this out? We're just gonna throw them out there. Good luck. Woo!
No, and I will say that's one of my favorite parts is that we are surrounded, as you guys have been hearing, by such an awesome, you know, one of the top teams in the company, and that has all the support around us all the time. So it wasn't like I got thrown into something, I said yes to something, and then whoop, poof, like nobody was around me, you know, even though maybe as an introvert you might want something like that. But actually it was the total opposite. Like I wanted to kind of lean in with people and hear their stories and I connected with people in a different way that allowed me to kind of open up more and to, you know, and so now the cool thing is then I will tell you, and it's really funny that this is like, we're talking about this is because now I find myself going to like dance and stuff. And I'll be like the one that's like talking up conversations, and even kids, like I went to the playground, to my daughter's playground last week, and I was like totally like talking to them like, really? So tell me about that. And like, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't usually even talk to little kids like this. I was like, you're going to have to totally fill me in after you get back from Cedar Point. Tell my daughter all about your weekends. I want to hear how it went. I want to hear how Halloween, but anyway, so you can totally change. But I just simply followed the recipe. Like we have a Coach Academy and that we do, and that we'll plug you guys into. And it really is the recipe that I followed that Summer had given me way back then. And I did it just in these like 10 to 15 minute, like mom cracks or power pockets throughout my day. A lot of times that was when I was pumping at work, or like in my commute, I would listen to trainings on my drive to work. You know, it was waking up like 10 to 15 minutes earlier in the morning so that I could send out a couple invites and do some of that training and before my kids woke up. So that way when, you know, I could have that cup of coffee, sit down, kind of do my personal development, do some of my invites. And then when my kids woke up, you know, like I was done with that. I was able to
Yeah.
just shut the computer off and be done with that. So
And that's key. That is so key. This isn't all in doesn't mean all day. It's not supposed to be something like that. And I was going to go to Jen Wood next, but this leads more into Christy Vincent. And then, so Jen, you got a second before I come to you, because Christy, like they kind of go together, and Christy is Nan's coach, connected through, well, her husband, but also running, I think. Do you know what I mean? They have that in common. Any other crazy runners on here? Not me. I only ran half marathons because I thought I was going to lose weight or something. You know, I punished myself. Oh, you screwed up and ate pizza, Summer. Go for a run. I know it was bad. But you know, Christy, like I know Christy is probably one of the, we're all busy. Let's just be honest. But Christy is probably one of the busiest people I know when she joined. Right? You had 5 jobs. Is that right, Christy? You're gonna have to unmute yourself, girlfriend, if you're gonna use your voice. Now, Christy's an extrovert, so lights up a room. But you had 5 jobs. So, you know, tell us your story a little bit, but like, I think what most people's concern is, you know, is like, I'm already busy. How would something like this even fit for me? Like, you know, because we don't, on our team, I don't believe in running yourself into the ground. That's not health. Like, do you know what I mean? And so what did you do, Christy?
Yeah. So when I first started, I am the recovering people pleaser. And that was part of the reason why I was so busy, is I was just doing everything. But then also we were in not great financial. My parents filed bankruptcy when I was in high school. And ever since that point, it just kind of started a financial tailspin that like I was always trying to get out of. And so that was part of the reason I worked a full-time job, and then I worked on the weekends, and then I had like evening job. And at that point I had 2 kids. So when I started, I had a, 5 and 2-year-old. He had just turned 2, and I always loved to work out. But I, like Summer said, the big bone girl, I was the biggest cheerleader, you know, and I never could figure out what I was doing wrong and why I was stuck. And so I said, I'm going to track everything I'm going to eat. I'm going to be perfect for this year, this time period. And I lost 1 pound in that year, and just got to a point that I was just so broken and frustrated. But I hadn't told anyone. Like, Nan was one of my closest friends at that point, still is, that I was even trying to lose weight. You know, like I wouldn't talk to anyone. I just smiled. I just put on this exterior, that everything's fine. I didn't ask for help. And finally I reached out my hand to Summer, who was, you know, one of my friends, had worked with her. And I said, it's not going to work for me, but I guess I'll give it a try just to prove that this doesn't work. And I lost 7 pounds in that first 10 days. And right away I was like, okay, this is what I need. I needed that place where you could be real and raw about what you were struggling. I needed people to help teach me how to eat. But more than that, I needed a system that, and this is where it kind of all came together, that helped me figure out what was really important and prioritize. So I love coaching because I feel like it's this one business where you get something going in your life that's working. So fitness, nutrition, and then it spills over into every other area. I got surrounded by people that were better with finances than me, and I learned what they were doing, and I started doing it. I got surrounded by people that were better planners, and then I learned how to look at my schedule. This was part of what was being taught to me when I said I'd be a coach. And I could figure out what was excess, what needed to be cut, what was the highest priority, and get those big rocks done. And then everything else fell into place. So, you know, for me, I said yes to coaching because I couldn't afford to keep going. I was in 5 jobs to make ends meet. We were at about $12,000 in credit card debt at that point in time. And I knew if I went to my husband and said, I'm going to spend $100 a month on, you know, food for us, he was going to look at me, I was crazy, and I'd have to work more. And so the idea of a discount and the idea of that maybe I could share this with 1 or 2 people and that would cover that cost was so appealing to me that, you know, I went all in once it made sense to how simple this was going to be. And then very quickly after that, I was able to just, you know, work towards the first $200, and that was cutting a Saturday morning job, and then work towards a couple $100 more, and then I could cut a day of work. So it just was very naturally learn the progression, get better at planning your time, get better at your goals. And really, once you take charge of your health and fitness, everything else can just slowly fall into place because you're surrounded by people that are a few steps ahead of you, like we were talking about with Claire to begin with. You know, you get surrounded by people that are a few steps ahead, that want change and want a better future, and you start following those steps.
Yeah, and it's contagious. I mean, if you really are willing to change, you know what I mean? You're hungry to learn, like it really is such a powerful environment, in all honesty. And so how many jobs do you have now? One, that's key. And she loves her job, so she doesn't intend on leaving it. What do you do, Christy?
I'm an occupational therapist,
Okay.
and I work with kids. And yes, I love my job, but I'm so much better at my job because I do this.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
there's so many teachers, you know, I'm surrounded by people that are burnout and overworked and don't take care of themselves. And I love being that light of, you can, you know, have this kind of job, but you also can be taking care of yourself and your family and your friends. And this is the solution. Like, I get to offer a solution for so many people like me.
So last question, where do you fit it in then?
Yeah.
You know, so what's your strategy, so to speak?
Yeah, so I love that everything is a checklist for you. It's very simple. So what I do is purely plan on Sundays, something I learned a long time ago, and I block out time in my schedule, and some days I can give an hour and some days I can give 30 minutes. But this is something that you can do while I used to do it riding a bus to my job. I had to park and ride a bus, or I pick up the kids and they play on the playground for 15 minutes after school, and I can sit on the park bench and do it there. Or during martial arts class, like, bring a sticky note of the things that you need to do, and you can sit there and take care of it. That's what I love. So it just, it's simple. It's a simple business that you can do, carry with you, carry on sticky notes or note cards, and take it with you and get it done in those pockets of time.
Yeah, and I love that, because most things, like, you either have to leave your family, or, you know what I mean? When my mom wanted to make money growing up, she would get that seasonal job at Kohl's, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, I loved my mom's heart for that, to help provide a Christmas and such. But I love that we can make extra money. I love that opportunity that exists for us, especially, like, I mean, money's not everything, except when you don't have money, it's really hard. And Chad and I have lived in that space, you know? But I also wanted to be on the couch when Chad was home at night. He was a pilot in the Marine Corps, and so he wasn't home a lot. So leaving wasn't something I wanted to do. And Christy, it didn't sound like you had any more space left for that, to leave the house. You had enough.
No. Well, the same thing, like, even tonight, you learn strategies where you can do trainings while you fold laundry, or you can, you learn ways to be smarter, and it fits in, and your family's involved. And this is a very family-oriented business. So, your spouse and your kids and your friends, bring them all with you versus taking yourself away. And those are the jobs I wanted to give up, the ones that I lost Saturday mornings, or evening events.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that, because usually we have Angela Thornhill's son on here shooting us with a gun of some sort. You'll see all the kids pop up. And I mean, I think it's cool that they get to see us do something and they pick up on what we're doing. It's absolutely contagious. So here, and thank you, Christy. And I understand if you have to get off because I know you get up early for work, but you're probably wondering how you make money. I think we should talk about that. And Jen Wood is really a great person to share on that. And like I said, I know everything is not money, but we need to ensure, like, that you're getting an ROI, a return on your investment. Even though there's not a huge financial investment, there is some time involved. And I believe in getting a return on that investment. You know what I mean? Should you want one, And I really do think, like, becoming the best version of yourself is the main way to ensure that. Like, it's like a win-win type of situation, but Jen, I know that has been such a big piece of your story, so will you tell us a little bit? I know the mindset changes so much too, but tell us a bit about your story and where you were before and how the business has helped your family. And, and let's start weaving in so people know, like, how to, I know we got great stories on here, but how are they going to, how's this going to benefit their family?
Yeah, I think, sometimes we're afraid to talk about income, but really, like, that's what most of us started this. We wanted to help people, but we also needed that income to do, like what Christy said, to be able to not have to work 5 jobs. Maybe you want to pay for your kids to do sports, or maybe you want to pay off debt. Like, money does all of that stuff. So it really, like, I don't know why it's so taboo, because like it's so important for us in our lives. So just to give you a little idea of like where I came from, 7 years ago, I started as a coach. And I really felt lost. Like a lot of the other women had said, I felt lost. I lost myself. I was very depressed. I hid behind a smile. It was fake. I was very angry. I was resentful. And I felt like I was stuck. Like I was stuck at home. Like I wanted to have like 5 jobs like Christy. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like I wanted to be outside of the house. But I had my oldest daughter has mental illness. And so I was really stuck in this place where I was driven and I wanted success, but I had to be that for her. I had to take her to appointments, had to do all these things. So I didn't really have the option to do that. Like I had given up on my career. I went to school and I did all this stuff. And I just found myself in this place of like just kind of hating my life, and it sucked. And so the other thing was we were struggling financially. Like we were barely making ends meet. There wasn't much extra. My kids couldn't do sports. Our only vacation a year, my mom paid for. So that was like for me to be like, I don't like asking for help. So it was really hard for me. But this came into my life, and I didn't really believe that I could do it. I was like, who's going to actually take advice from me? But then I did a 10-day challenge. I don't know if I'm going too far, but I did this group and it started to build that belief in me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all in. And I went all in. And I guess I know we don't have a ton of time, but I'll just fast forward. Over the last 7 years, I calculated everything. I've made almost $200,000. Like I'm like, that's mind blowing. And with that, we've also traveled. There was like 6 trips that we earned for both me and my husband. We paid off, our mortgage is almost paid off. We paid off almost all of our cars, all of our credit card debt. I mean, our life has
are a
changed.
military family. Did you?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't cover that. Yeah.
But a military family, and most people don't realize this, but they don't pay the military enough for what they do, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, we were a military family. Like I said, I was at home because I wanted to work, but I didn't want to be gone in the evenings. I didn't want to be gone on the weekends. And so I had been praying for an opportunity, and I really feel like God put this in my life. And I was scared. It took me 5 months to really go all in. But then once I did, the first month I made like $150. And then the next month I made like $300. And so disclaimer, I don't know if we need to throw that in there.
Directly, it's not guaranteed. Nothing is. I mean, like it really does. There's going to be a recipe, and Jen followed the recipe that we share, you know what I mean? And asked questions and showed up, you know what I mean? Like, and so it is in direct correlation to, you following that and being here consistently.
Yeah, and exactly. Like, and I didn't help a million people every month. I really just followed the recipe of helping 3 to 5 new people a month. Yeah. I followed what Summer taught me. We have a system in place. She talks about taking your axe and chopping at the tree a little bit every day. And I just showed up and I chopped at the tree a little bit every day. And life happened. I mean, it's going to happen. There's been so many things that have happened over the last 7 years. And not only the income, but the community, the support, the sisterhood that I've had through all of this helped hold me up. And honestly, I don't think I would be here without this community, without this team, because of the things that I struggle with. So anyways, but that's.
That's good. So what's the initial way you made 150 the first month? So probably mostly commission, I would think.
Yes. So early on, you make about 25 to 40% on anything you sell or share. I like to say share because like I tried other sales companies and I'm so not a salesperson. So when people say I'm not a salesperson, I'm like, me neither. I hate sales. Because when I came in and I realized, let me go back real quick. I was a gym rat. I was working out 2 hours a day in the gym, wasn't getting the results I wanted. I wanted that community. I wanted that support. And so when I plugged into this group that we used to do, a 10-day challenge, some of us still kind of do that, I was like, I need this. Like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And so that passion was ignited in me, and I realized this is what I've been looking for. And I just shared that with other people. I was like, hey, I went from working out 2 hours a day to working out 30 to 40 minutes in my living room, and I'm getting better results, and I have this community. You know, do you want to be a part of this? So it just felt natural. It didn't feel like gross or icky or anything like that. It was natural to me. And so sorry, like hopping around. So with the challenge pack, or basically you're making 25 to 40%. So say you help 3 people get set up with a challenge pack, you're going to make around $150, depending on which challenge pack. But most people, I think, go in that price range of that. So you're making $150. Say the next month you help 3 people again. And that's really what we try to teach you guys, is try to help 3 new people a month. You've now made $150. And then next month you have $100 from those repeat customers. So now in your second month, you've made $250. I mean, what business can you do that?
Yeah.
And like, literally, there's no inventory, there's no quota, no one's pressuring you. You're just working on your journey, and you're helping 3 people a month. That's really like so simple.
And you support them together in groups together. Like, you don't have to all of a sudden start running everything by yourself. Like, we literally do things as a team, you know what I mean? Because honestly, there's pieces of my story that Jen doesn't have, and pieces of Jen's story that I don't have, and Christy's, and you know what I'm saying? And so I'd really be cheating those people that I'm able to reach if I kept them just with me. That's how I see it, right? I won't even train people one-on-one in personal training anymore for that reason, right? And so that first way, you know, and for me was such a game changer for Chad and I. Like, he was like, are you doing this legally? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, just to be the extra money coming in, it just was, I don't know, like, you just usually don't see that, to be able to do that in that fashion. I didn't make that much as a personal trainer. And so the first way is commission, is how you'll be compensated, right? And that's a really cool thing, right? So, and then what's the second way, Jen? Well, there's multiple ways. We're not going to go too far into them.
The second way is building your team. So this is where your residual income comes from. This is where the freedom comes from for you to be able to go on vacation and still make a paycheck. Like, there's been times I've come back from a trip being unplugged for a whole week and make a huge paycheck. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, and I don't always do that. I'm just saying, like, that's the beauty of residual income. And that starts with our company by just adding 2 people. Like, that's the start of it. And that's when you start making that residual income. And, I mean, and there's more to it, like she said, but we don't want to go too deep. But to me, it's just mind blowing. And the other thing that I want to touch on is, you're not the only one building your team. Because like I said, I've tried other companies before, and I kind of know their pay structure, and you are on your own with a lot of them. And with Beachbody, your team above you helps you build your team. So I love that. Like, and when I kind of researched the business, I was like, so basically we work together, instead of, like, there's not this catty competition of like, if I pass you up, then I split off, and that kind of thing. If I succeed, my team succeeds. If my team succeeds, I succeed. So it helps us to all work together, and there's not this cattiness competition kind of thing. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's what I love most about that's what attracted me to this company when I finally started learning about it, was the fact that if we link arms, like, we really could free a lot of people from the prison. I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but I know I felt like I lived in this yo-yo prison, you know what I mean? Or a self-hate prison, you know, where I'd cry in my closet when I would get ready for a date night, or hated bathing suit season. We could really surround more people, you know, together, and versus just, you know, by ourselves. And so that was a really powerful piece. If I help other people succeed, I'll succeed. You know what I mean? Like, you can't succeed by yourself, but we will teach more on that, you know. But I do love, like, I've done a lot of research on the compensation plan and stuff, and it's built for longevity. You know, not all, you know, businesses were built like that. You'll hear some of them go out of business pretty quick. You know, we've been around for, what are we, 13 to 15 years, I think 15 years at this point. You know, that's because it's built on a longevity type of comp plan. So, but anyway, I want to get you guys off here, and I want to teach you guys, like, share with you if this is a good fit for you. Like, is there a bunch of money involved? What are my options? And here's the thing, the potential to build whatever's on your heart. For me, like, I just wanted to get back to the kitchen table with my son. I was teaching a lot of group fitness classes, and I needed about $250 to do that. And that was my vision initially. And then it grew a little bit, like, oh, maybe I can pay off, $100,000 worth of debt if I'm willing to learn, you know what I mean? But, this is the opportunity that it can make that happen. You know what I mean? And yes, I mean, I say opportunity because, like, it doesn't play favorites. You know what I mean? It's like a farmer, like, no matter what color your hair is, or what, how tall or short, boy or girl, 50, we have 55-year-olds, 60-year-olds on our team, down to 19-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't play favorites. You know what I mean? If a farmer plants corn, no matter what your color is or your size, like, corn comes up. And so if you follow this recipe, you know what I mean? And it'll feel good in the process, in all honesty. And so, like, I'm just going to be real with you guys. I've been around this business for a long time. And we really are one of the highest ranking teams in the company, and the rank doesn't matter to me, but I would put our heart and our mission next to anyone's, if I'm going to be honest, and so I've seen people lose, hundreds of pounds on our team. I think Erin Booker had to get off, but her story is amazing. But thousands of pounds have been lost on this team, and people that have found their self-worth and paid off hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt. I've seen people overcome depression. I've seen people walk away from suicidal attempts. On our team, I've seen marriages healed. And as a team, we built 125 houses in Nicaragua together. You know what I mean? It's just it's really been really cool to be a part of. And so if it's something that is a good fit for you, I can promise you that we're not interested in just signing you up and then that's it. Like, we're going to, if you're a hugger, we're going to wrap our arms around you, but either way, we're going to put you in a growth environment, and we're not just going to leave you to figure it out for yourself. We're going to support you in your fitness, your wellness journey, and whatever your goals are. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about right before we get off, is that, it can be anything you want it to be. You could be more for the discount to start off with while you work on yourself, and then you're not going to get treated any different. It could be more hobby, where like it was for me initially, making an extra $250 to $500, or it could be something that you're like, what, I got a lot of debt summer, or I got too many jobs and I really need to do something bigger with it. How do I do that? We can help you and support you if you're willing to work and you're hungry to learn. Like, we will help you through all of that. Right. So if you already have BOD and Shakeology, everything's waived. Your $40 sign-up fee, which isn't a lot anyway, is waived, but I don't flush $40 down the toilet. I don't know about you, but and we'll get you all set up with that. You know what I mean? It's super easy, and your coach that invited you can walk you right through that. But if you're just getting started, there's really so many options. If you're kind of like Claire, or Claire was like just getting started, and like, your coach will help you find what's a good fit. And if we bundle it correctly, we can bundle it for your needs, because it's not one size fits all. Not everybody has to do X workout. It's the one that fits you for your season of life, what your goals are and what excites you. And that's what I love, because I don't think everybody should do the same workout. I don't think we're all made the same way. And I don't think we've all have the same interests, right? And so whether it's nutrition or the fitness side of things, we can help you with that. If you already have Beachbody On Demand, which is kind of like our Netflix, like, we can do a completion pack that still gets the fee waived. It's not a big deal. And if you're military, your fees are completely waived as well, which is really cool. That when our CEO put that into practice, not because he thought that the military should save money on a shake, but because he knew and understood that the military doesn't get paid enough and didn't have the ability to make more income, and thought that they should have the opportunity to create another stream of income, is something that Chad and I are both very, very passionate about, is showing people how to not feel financially stuck. Because Erin Booker will tell you, she's not on here anymore, but it just takes one person to get sick and to lose a stream of income to create quite a bit of stress. And I think that sometimes if we create another income, it can relieve some of that for us. And I think that's a really cool gift. There's no monthly minimums, you guys. You're not going to have to stack anything in your garage. I think that's icky. You know what I mean? But, you know, I think that's, I mean, I wouldn't be here if that was the case, you know, and I do believe, however, that I think we should love the products that we sell, because I think that's icky too when we're actually not practicing what we preach, if I'm going to be honest. And then there's a $15.95 fee. That's it, every single month. And that covers your website, your customer service. You don't have to hold product. They have a warehouse for that. They do the shipping for you, all your back office, all the thing that an entrepreneur would have to do, all that organization and stuff is done for you, which is something I can tell you as a personal trainer, I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars doing before I joined Beachbody. But I don't want to keep you guys on any longer. We do have a Rise Up Academy starting, a Coach Academy. If this is something that's a good fit for you, I would love to get you in there. We start prepping this week, and then we kick off a week from tomorrow. It's little bite-sized chunks of things that can fit in the mom cracks or the full-time cracks or the dad cracks, and it's meant to be that way. It's not meant to be overwhelming. And then we will all be there to help you and answer questions. And every week we will have a call on Monday nights where we grab our wine or our hot tea and we kind of just hang out, and I get a little excited sometimes. I know you haven't seen nothing yet because I wasn't jumping out of my seat and twerking or anything yet, but that's more to come on Mondays. But the person that invited you, if it's something that you're just feeling that nudge, but you're unsure, I want to challenge you to lean in, because there's nothing to lose. The worst that can happen is that you feel the best in your skin that you've ever have, and you're surrounded and you make some really amazing friends that love you unconditionally and speak life over you and something that you look forward to. And the best thing that can happen is that it relieves some financial stress or helps you to reach some goals financially that you otherwise didn't see a way to do that. And so to me, like, if you even feel that, I'm going to ask you to be brave and to step in, and to allow us to just kind of hold your hand through some of the process and answer your questions. Cool. All the leaders that spoke tonight, you guys are awesome. I love your story. I know that it's not the most comfortable thing to speak in front of people, and this webinar will be seen by hundreds. And so you're welcome. You're like, probably I didn't think about that. But thank you for being amazing, you know, and being willing to be vulnerable and share your story to give some other people hope and lending your belief to them for a while. I love you guys. I hope to see some of you in the group and get to know you better and hear your story. I'll talk to you guys later. See you.